Okay, everyone, Nathan here, and we're going to be looking at UV unwrapping for mods in Minetest. So just fired up Blender here. I will mention the size of a cube in the Minetest world, 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter. If you export from Blender the default cube, that is going to be 2 meters, so it'll be as large as 4 blocks. So you want to scale it down to half size. So tab S 0.5, enter. And that'll scale it to half size. I always like doing this just so I know the size of one cube, and then I just use this as a reference model to do anything else. But we're not really looking at modeling today. We are looking at UV unwrapping. So tab to go into edit mode. I'm going to collect, well, actually, let's jump over to UV editing. This is kind of where we want to do everything. Here we have our cube. Now, of course, we're just starting with a simple cube. I'm going to do 2 more videos. One with a slightly more detailed, and one with a much more detailed model. The letter U on the keyboard pulls up your unwrap options. Now you have the easy option of Smart UV Project, which pulls up some options. Obviously those at default. Hit OK, and it gives us this, which really is not super great, but let's go with it. We will hit New here, and let's go with the color grid, and hit OK, and then it generates us this big image, which is 1024 by 1024 pixels. Your texture should always be a power of 2. It just makes them easier to work with. And let's change this to material. We'll say, there's nothing happening yet. And that is indeed the case. We have to go back to the default scene, or default, whatever view here. And let's just slide over to materials. It probably already has a material. We'll go to the textures here. And we are just going to change this texture type from being none to being image or movie. And then we will do image untitled, which is the one we just generated. And we want to map that to the UV. And now we change this to material. Voila! We have a fantastic cube with some numbers on it. Now I'm going to zoom out here and change this to a sun lamp. I'll just make things much more visible for us. So that's pretty much it, the basics. However, this really doesn't do us any good because, let's go back to UV editing here, none of these things really line up. Actually, let me just duplicate the sun real quick, and we're going to rotate that 180 degrees so we have some light on some of the other faces here. You'll notice that's a very bad seam. That seems okay. That one's terrible. Can't see the ones on the bottom because of the directions my lights are pointing. But there are a lot of bad seams. We don't want that. We want the best seams we can get. Think back, take a little trip down memory lane here, to when you were a kid, and you probably at some point did this. You had one of those paper cutouts and you colored the pictures on it, and then you cut on the solid lines, fold on the dashed lines, and put glue on the tan parts. And then you had, a 3D object that you had just made out of paper. We're pretty much doing the reverse thing here. So we are going to click on the lines where we want to make our cuts. So we want to cut those 3 pieces. Control E, and we want to mark those as a seam. Now we're going to do the opposite 3 here. Control E, mark seam. And now let's just unwrap this. And you go, whoa, look at this. That looks terrible. This goofy little thing looks really ugly. Look at the texture on here. Man, is that bad. Yep, it sure is. If we deselect everything using the letter A on the keyboard, we kind of see we have this kind of red highlight on our seams. Now, if we were to cut on those lines only, yeah, we kind of get a piece here, a piece there, but this whole loop going around is still one piece. We don't want that, so we need to cut it on at least one of these areas. We'll mark a seam there, and then we'll unwrap it. And it's kind of difficult to see here, but here's what we can do. Select it with A, pull it off. Now we have what looks like a cross, and this will all fold up very neatly and easily. I'm just going to throw it back on here. Now we can make, I don't know, let's turn this into a giant die. Now, we have kind of two ways we can do this. We can do it the easy way, or we can do it the difficult way. I'm all for the easy way, I don't know about you. So, let's change from being in edit mode to texture paint. And this will pull up, if we use the letter T to pull up the panel here, it kind of gives us a paintbrush. And we can paint on here, and it automatically updates onto our canvas here. So, let's just quick make this into a die. We have 4. You're supposed to be able to like add the numbers on opposite sides, and it's supposed to do something. I don't know how that works. For some reason, it didn't want to let me draw on that one side. What is going on? Why is it not letting me draw on there? Am I zoomed in too much? Maybe I was zoomed in too much. I don't know. But this is kind of just so we get an idea of what we're doing. If we want to draw over an edge, that was a bad edge to try on because we can't see both sides. We can do that. Put a line that matches, and then we see right here exactly how those two match up. Let's put some dots on the bottom here. Alright, so we put a lot of dots and lines on this. In real life, obviously, we would be doing something real, like drawing a face or whatever. But I think it's a good enough example for here. Let's change this back to object mode. And let's go here to image. And we need to... No, wait. Let's first do this. Pull up the UV layout, UV's export UV layout. And we're just going to save that as a PNG. I'll just save it in my home folder. And I'm just going to call it Cube UV. And we'll save that real quick. And then we'll go back to object mode, and I want to save this image. Save as image F3. And this one's saved to the same location. And we're going to call this Cube Drawn. Naming doesn't matter at all. Then we will load up GIMP. Of course, you can use Photoshop, MyPaint, Windows Paint, Paint.net, Krita, any image editor will work. And we're just going to open up those two images we just exported. So we hop in here. I have my cube drawn. Do that. And then let's load in. Oh no. There we go. Let's load in the UV layout. Put the UV layout on the upper layer so we kind of have... You'll see it's done with a lot of transparency here. And then we'll turn on this object. Then what I would recommend doing is creating a new layer, putting that on the very tippy top. And then pull up whatever paint tool you want to use. Say, this is going to be number 2. Forgive my sloppy writing, I'm not using my graphics tablet at the moment. That's going to be 4. This will be 5. It'll be 6. And I guess this will be 1. That's the only number we're missing. Then we just turn off that. Turn off that. Of course, these numbers are all going to be in the wrong orientation. I hadn't thought of that before. And I'm just going to make a black layer. There we go. It's going to look stupid, but that's alright. I'm just going to overwrite my original image. And we'll pop back into Blender here, and we'll open that image up. Open image, and it's cube drawn. There we go. We have our die with numbers that are all crooked. Now we want to get this into Minetest. So let us export. You can export as, I think, any of these formats. Minetest can read them all, I believe. I always use OBJ. No reason in particular. That's just what I use. Leave the options here pretty much all as they are. I do normally do selection only, but because, well, let me still do it because I don't know if OBJ will export lamps, and we don't want the lamps. They wouldn't do anything, but it could mess something up. I'll just leave it called untitled, it doesn't matter. So we have exported that. Now we need to load that file up, which, launching up my text editor here, new mod. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Recent files, new mod nodes. Here we go. I have a different file that I have created or a different mod rather, that I did a series on. What am I looking for here? Minetest mods, new mod, and we want to load up textures. I'm going to throw cubedrawn.png into there, and then I don't think we exported that. I think I just put that into my home folder. Yep, untitled obj. So we will move that into the models folder here. Pop that in. Then we will go back into the text editor, and we're going to change that from Suzanne to untitled. And we will change the texture from that to cube drawn. It is case sensitive. I really should have used a lowercase d, but I think we'll be all right for this. Oh, I have capital C too. So that's that. Save that. Launch up Minetest. Hope this doesn't kick my computer to a crawl. I think I have new mod enabled in this test one. Yep. Let's play. Hey, and there we go. Look at that. We have black boxes with numbers and 4 dots and 2s. Just like that. Superb. Interestingly enough, because of how these are set up. Oh, I didn't want that. I want to see myself. Yep, I'm floating inside of the object because it's collision bound. It's set for something totally different. But that's alright, won't complain about it. So there you have it in a nutshell. That's a really basic intro into UV mapping for meshes that you are then going to import into Minetest. I'm going to edit this right away and upload it, and then I'm going to start recording another video. So don't worry guys, there's more to come.